Dr. Weinberg was one of the ones who encouraged people with different capacities, different interests, getting together on a project and really making a difference in the progression of that project, because the people with a different orientation would come with unique ideas from each other, fit them together, and make the project really work well.
He's what I call the ideal kind of scientific leader. He picked people to do a job and gave them, in my case, a division. And as long as you did your job right, I mean, things went well. He never interfered. If you couldn't do your job, you quietly got moved around.
It wasn't that he had some kind of supernatural ability. It was more that he had a combination of sound judgment, enough technical expertise to understand what was important and what wasn't important, and a focus and tenacity and, I guess, self-confidence, so that if he saw something that seemed important to him, he would hone in on it and stay with it, and just stay with it.
Alvin's leadership skills, charisma, and personality all contributed to his ability to lead the lab in the direction he thought it needed to go. Although he maintained a professional demeanor between himself and his employees, at the same time, he was open and approachable.
He never wanted to be called Dr. Weinberg, and he never wanted any of his PhD employees to be called doctor. Everybody was Mr. or their first names. And that projected the sort of informality that I remember most about Dr. Weinberg.
I always held Dr. Weinberg in such respect. I wasn't afraid of him exactly, but it was only maybe a few years before he passed away that I would call him Alvin. He was always Dr. Weinberg.
Many of Alvin's employees admired him greatly. His confidence and presence overshadowed the fact that he was relatively short in stature.
So I left his office and I went down the hallway where his associates were and found several of them. In each case, I said, "Did you know Alvin was really short?" They looked startled at me. No, it never occurred to me that Alvin was short, because we thought of him the way he seemed to us.
However, Alvin could also be very intimidating.
The big organizations would have a meeting every year or 6 months, and people would come in and describe what they would be doing. And Alvin would come to them all if he could. And people would come because they wanted to hear what he asked and what he commented.
Alvin was sitting on the front row, and I was talking about Memphis, and I mentioned, and census tracts, and I mentioned that this tract started after the berm on such and such an avenue. When I first encountered that word berm, I didn't know what it was, but I looked it up, and it means a man-made hill. So I was giving this, and I mentioned that in the speech, and Alvin raised his hand and he said, "What is a berm?" And I thought, oh, thank God I